So the SABC, the biggest employer of journalists, has always had this pull and push, tug of war, that the ruling party feels it owns them. But it doesn't, of course. It's the public broadcaster. It's not the state or the government broadcaster. Well, there are a lot of media houses and a lot of international countries, 180 that were done in the last World Press Freedom Index. So we can compare ourselves to democracies. We can't compare ourselves to Eritrea and Syria and Iran, and China and Russia. We can compare ourselves to Canada, Australia, the United States, the UK. We don't in South Africa, yes, I think we're a little bit better. We don't in South Africa have journalists in jail or whistleblowers in jail, and the killing of journalists. So that's why our score would be in the 70s for political factors. We're on a very low score for economic factors, 58 I think it was, which brought our score down and our place down from number 25 last year to number 38 this year. And that's mainly because of the economic context. So our legal context is very good, and our abiding of the courts by the Constitution is very good. In fact, we scored in the 80s on that, second highest. The first highest. The second highest score was on socio-cultural. What that means is that in South Africa, we have a robust civil society with many organizations that fight in the space for voice, plurality, diversity, etc. So we're not the binary oppositional stuff that you get in the United States, Fox and CNN, one for the Democrats, one for the Republicans. We really don't have that. You can't say in South Africa that Newsroom Africa, some people do say this, but it's nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Newsroom Africa stands for this party and ENCA stands for that party, and SABC stands for that party. It doesn't. We've actually recently seen a case of the SABC news editor-in-chief, Moshesh Manari, who was given a call by the SSA, the Security State Agency, to say he needs to be vetted. Now, what utter nonsense is that? 2 years after his employment, but a couple of weeks before the election. I mean, that I just see as plain intimidation. So the SABC, the biggest employer of journalists, has always had this pull and push, tug of war, that the ruling party feels it owns them. But it doesn't, of course. It's the public broadcaster. It's not the state or the government broadcaster. So certain politicians are never going to get, or presidents are never going to get that. They do believe they own the SABC. So that kind of pulling or tug of war, as I call it, of the SABC happens everywhere in the world, actually, with ABC, BBC, SABC. It's not unusual, but it's the kind of thing that needs to be blown out of the water. Everyone needs to know about it, and everyone needs to fight for editorial independence and for freedom. I mean, they need to be free to be reporting on how they want to report, as freely and fairly and truthfully as possible.